Hi there, welcome to Tarot Soap Opera. Today I'm going to do a reading for Leo energy. I had a problem this month with my Aquarius and Leo readings. I must have done that Aquarius reading 6 different times for different reasons and different problems that were going on with it. And my Leo I was having a problem with, and then where a person could get interrupted, so then you don't do that video. Another one, I didn't have the sound on, but anyway, got my Aquarius done. Now I'm on to Leo. And on this channel, we're going to do 2 rows. The top row I refer to as high vibe Leo, the bottom row, a more worldly, shadowy, in our Leo energy of ourself. Like all the zodiac sign traits and characteristics within ourselves, we can battle within ourselves, even if we are moving forward in hope and faith and belief and love and maintaining balance within ourselves. We all have our more shadowy nature, which is what the bottom row can represent. It can just be some of our own fears, insecurities, and self-limiting beliefs, but it can also be shadowy people in our life that we do have to deal with. We don't live alone, and between our community or our family or people we work with, you know, we can still have shadowy energy. It exists within us and exists outside of us because we're dealing with other human beings that have their dual nature of free will, and everybody's kind of at different emotional maturity levels. So, well, let's read it from that perspective first. Um, the reason for the top rose reading is the house card, which says Taurus, but the house card also reminds me of Four of Wands, which is Aries energy. So, together, what that can talk about is that we are dealing with other people. Everyone else has their foundation of self that they operate from. And Taurus energy can talk about our philosophy of life and what we think is just and fair and what motivates and inspires us. And we're dealing with all these other people that have their own ways of living life and viewing life, right? And you could have dealt with some people that you felt, some people you could view as good examples, and either they're being a good example and you're trying to follow in their footsteps. Other people are working together with you cooperatively and kind of you're on the same page and you're moving forward with them. And then there's always going to be some people that we could be in some type of foundation with, or we wanted to come together in some foundation or keep staying in a foundation with them. But we could just realize that kind of what we're motivated and inspired by and is different, right? And the reason for the bottom rose reading is surprise visitor, and that's a feminine figure, so that can talk about how people think and feel. Sometimes we can be in a relationship with people, which is what the Four of Wands and Taurus can talk about. And sometimes there's kind of some emotional ways of being that people have that we didn't realize. And then when it kind of pops out, so it's kind of interesting that this is the walls of a home. And also, kind of metaphorically or whatever, in ourself, we have aspects and ways of being that sometimes we don't let come out into the world. And uh, some people could have showed a side of them that you didn't know existed in their foundation of self. And because of that, you could have distanced yourself from some people. Well, maybe before we continue on with the top row, let's go look at what could have been going on. And, when we're working with other people, everybody can kind of we either make the free will choice to let our more hopeful, believing, loving nature come out, which maybe, we felt love towards someone, or we kind of grew and healed and matured ourselves. And it's like giving birth to a new us emotionally. And sometimes when we're doing that, some other people, we might see that what they want to let out is a little more shadowy. And you know we're not on the same page. So we have the bees card, the child, the wealthy man, the tree card, and then we have the main male, which reminds me of Aries and Taurus energy, combined. And then we have the gift of money, which kind of represents Ace of Pentacles, which can be, what are people more driven and motivated and inspired by? In high vibe, the Ace of Pentacles would be, I am kind of ready to close out an old cycle of my life, a way of living life, viewing life. Just like we go through these phases of life, we view life a certain way, we live life a certain way, and we kind of go through that phase of life. And when we've kind of learned the lesson we were meant to learn from that phase of life, we're ready to kind of move forward differently. Emotionally, we're not the same person that we were when we could have gotten into a phase of life that we were going through. And here we have the child card, which would be a younger version of this person, because this is like, I don't know, somewhere between 18 and 30, maybe. And it just implies that there was, during a period of time, some people could have emotionally grown and matured themselves. And we've had, again, some people in our life that we could have known since we were children. Um, but just people that we know, and we kind of emotionally grow and mature with them. We go through those phases of life. We were 15, we were 18, we were 21, we were 25, or if we met them when we were 30, we were 30, we were 35, we were 40, and we kind of, with some people, we keep emotionally growing and maturing with them. And we all could kind of, the wealthy man makes me think of the King of Pentacles, which is Capricorn energy. The tree says Virgo on it, two earth sign energies, and then Taurus is the other third earth sign energy. It can all be difficult to overcome kind of our more worldly natures, what the earth sign energies can kind of represent. In our fire sign energy, we're really motivated and inspired about a lot of things in the world. And there's a lot of things we want to manifest and things that are important in our life. And to a degree, there could have been a lot of things that we wanted to go indulge in that we thought for sure was going to make us happy. And again, at different stages of life, what that kind of represented in our life was different. This would have represented something different at 15 and at 18 and 21 and 25, etc. Right? And with people, sometimes we can go through certain phases of life with them, and we kind of complete one phase, we can all kind of emotionally grow and mature some, and then we can move forward into the next phase of life where we're kind of put some things maybe behind us and we're ready to move forward. And then we do that phase of life, and at that phase of life we might have some fears and insecurities about change, because again, we might start out, the child can mean like something new. So we start out in something new, or we get in a new phase of life, and, it's a new beginning. And that has its own fears and insecurities that come up. If you kind of were to look at life as a video game, hopefully everybody's played video games where you have these different levels that you're trying to, um, master a certain level, overcome the obstacles and challenges. And there's a lot of things in the world and in our own worldly nature that can be obstacles to us, right? Like, I want to be more about me. I want to be more about the world. I want to indulge in these things, and I maybe don't want to grow and heal and mature myself, or, that requires me to be more bold and brave and confident, and I'm not there yet, and so sometimes some people move on ahead of us, and we kind of keep repeating the pattern, because we'll all keep repeating a pattern until we're willing to deal with the truth and maybe see where, if we don't work through some of these issues and kind of emotionally grow up and mature ourselves, we are going to keep repeating an old pattern over and over of whatever that could be. Like, hey, I really like to indulge in these things, and I'm sure those things will make me happy. And I just keep indulging in it and indulging in it, for example. And it kind of stops me from kind of growing and maturing myself, right? And kind of growing to my full potential. Well, we can go through kind of many phases with people, but eventually, sometimes what can happen is that we can get to, Again, sometimes with some people, we're kind of all on the same page a lot of the time, and we can be loving and encouraging and supportive of each other. But I have kind of come to the conclusion after doing tarot for a while that, you know, our heart, we have the four elements: our heart, our mind, our emotional nature, our mind, our thoughts, our thinking, our worldly nature. But it really isn't until kind of our fire sign energy to take really more a whole different shift kind of how we view life, because we've got a lot of lessons to learn just about ourself and the world. And these two cards can talk about what's important to me and what do I view as victorious and successful in our Capricorn energy within ourselves. And I want to be in friendships and relationships and my career, and um, things I want to invest my time, energy, and effort into. And then we kind of have this truth that we've had, and maybe it can be a lot of these ideas again of what we kind of think is just and fair, and this way we view life. And I think this is just and fair in a relationship. I don't think that is just and fair. This is my comfort zone. I like to stay in my comfort zone. And kind of at a core foundational level, which, are we inspired to get out of our more worldly egoic view of life to, to really be inspired? Aries energy is about the self, and Leo energy is about being more authentically yourself. And we've kind of got to go on this journey in life, just even get to know ourselves to figure out what our truth is. And to really kind of feel, maybe in high vibe Leo, kind of comfortable within ourselves. And, for a long time in our life, shadowy Leo can kind of be more where we're trying to present ourselves in a certain way. We might have a lot of fears and insecurities, but we're trying to present ourselves as a stable, grounded, hopeful, believing, loving person. And in a lot of ways, we can be that type of person, but we still could kind of be a little more codependent. And codependent energy can be more like, well, I'm looking for someone to love me. I want to be in a relationship and I want to be in friendships. But if it's kind of more about us, I want someone to love me. We've got to hopefully grow and mature ourselves to realize that if I want other people to work together with me, I should be the type of person, you know, live my authentic truth so people know the real me, not like a false version of myself and doing things and acting certain ways and dressing certain ways or whatever that aren't really aligned with my truth, because then I'm not living in high vibe Aries and Leo and Taurus, my authentic truth. But because we can want those things, we can get in jobs or friendships or relationships because we want a job and we want friendships and we want relationships. And we'll get in all those relationships too, just because we're going to be drawn and attracted to certain people. And I think we are drawn and attracted to certain people because those are the people that are going to, if we're living our life a certain way, say, I don't know, pick anything at any phase of life, something that you really thought this is kind of maybe, the thing is, some people are at a phase of life, but they know it's a phase of life. Yeah, I'm 21. This is kind of things I'm going to do in my life. Typical 21-year-old stuff. There's some people that you can know that they kind of want to live their life at that phase of life, and you can hear people say like, oh, I can't wait till I get older and I have kids and then we're going to do this together, kind of like they're going to stay like an 18 or 21 or 25-year-old all their life. I know I had some people say that when I was growing up, and it was just like, I'm hoping I'm not maybe acting or behaving in some of these ways that then I want to hang out with my kids that are that age and doing that same thing, you know? But some people, even then, that was how they were thinking they wanted to live their life that way all their life. And that's fine. They have the free will to live their life that way. And some people will. They kind of get to a certain phase of life. This is good. I'm done. This is what motivates and inspires me. I don't want to give birth to anything new emotionally. I don't want to work through anything that might manipulate me. I don't want to maybe face my fears to be more bold and brave and confident. I might, the masculine cards, whether people are male or female, can represent that people are operating a little more from their ego nature. And other people could, and the bottom row can also represent that people are a little more tipped out of balance, either caught up in themselves or the world, or their more defensive or egoic nature, or immature nature, whatever. And emotionally, they're just not ready to give birth to anything new emotionally, but other people do. And then that can be a problem in a workplace, a friendship, or relationship. It's just like a person could take a job and you could be a beginner, take an entry level position or something. And there could be other people who think, whether again they're male or female, could think that, you're young and immature or something, you don't know as much as they know. But you might be someone who is very either bright, smart, kind of driven, kind of motivated, um, willing to learn, because in order to keep kind of moving forward and shedding old layers of ourselves, we kind of have to be a student of life and be willing to admit I don't know everything, and some people have more of a problem with that than others, and willing to be a student of life. I am willing to learn. And then when people offer you an opportunity for you to put in work and effort to kind of grow, heal, mature yourself, invest that time and effort to learn what you need to learn, then you could be ready to kind of move on to taking on like more responsibility, right? And some people say, for example, if it's a job, some people like that. It's like, oh, wow, that's great. I didn't see that when you started, that emotionally you were more driven or motivated. Maybe I thought you were a little more in Fluffland or something, that I thought you'd just be more comfortable and, we'd just have you in this job and that was fine. But wow, maybe you really seem to be much more capable, bright, smart, whatever than I realize. Some of those people will be happy. And with some of those people, you could even kind of inspire those people to kind of, and if you're kind of like a loving and encouraging person, um, it could kind of make them look at life a little differently. And, because you never know, other people could have worked with other people who are kind of more immature. And it's just like, oh, wow, I kind of thought you were going to be like some of the other people we've employed here. And then it's like, wow, isn't that nice to work together with people that we can, the Four of Wands and Aries energy can talk about where we can come together with others, kind of in joy and celebration, instead of always having to deal with some people that we're constantly trying, maybe in high vibe energy, to offer love and encouragement and enticements and opportunities if you'd be willing to put in more work and effort, and some of the other people weren't. Well, we can see how that same scenario can play out in relationships, right? We can get in relationships with people, and some of the people we've been in relationships with kind of were like, I'm good, let's keep doing this, you be a loving and encouraging person, I'm going to do this, you do that, and let's just keep doing this forever. And you're like, well, I'm trying to be loving and encouraging and supportive because I'm hoping things will move forward and we'll kind of take this relationship to the next level. And high vibe Leo would be, it's kind of like we've gotten to know each other. We've been in a workplace friendship or relationship for maybe a significant period of time emotionally to get to know each other and see what everybody's capable of and kind of what drives and motivates them and things. Are we going to go kind of, you know, just like people are supposed to physiologically grow during their life? Emotionally, I think it's part of the process that, we have free will as human beings, but, probably 50% of the population is kind of motivated and inspired to invest in their foundation of self to emotionally grow and mature themselves. But we can get in relationships with some people who that isn't how they view life. And some of those people are more codependent. I'm looking for someone to play that role in my life, to want to be a loving and encouraging person to me and kind of indulge me. Well, they might get people who could be drawn and attracted to them who, want to be in a relationship with them. But if those people are a little more emotionally mature, eventually those people in high vibe, the Ace of Pentacles is truth and love. And if they've been offering truth and love, but the other people kind of in their ego kind of turn their back on truth and love and think, no, you should just keep investing in me being this way. I don't want to change. I don't want to temper my shadowy Leo nature of my ego. I don't want to have to learn lessons in life. I want to keep doing things the way I've done it. And some of those people could be people who've had other people that they've grown up with, or friendships or relationships and family members or whoever, that kind of indulge them being that way. Oh, there. You don't have to heal and grow and mature yourself, and you don't have to temper your ego, and and they kind of coddle them, and then they're looking for other people to play that role, be the next person to play that role in their life. And then other people can be looking for people who are more codependent because they like a more imbalanced relationship where they seem, whether they're male or female, I'm the smarter one, I'm the more mature one, I'm the more stable one, I'm the more abundant one, I'm the more this. And then they purposely kind of like to get in relationships with people where they like those people to view them as that type of person. And in a lot of ways, they can be loving and encouraging and supportive. But if those people kind of do work within themselves in the course of the relationship to grow and mature themselves, and they're kind of ready to move forward in life differently, then some of those people are like, no, well, I didn't think you were going to do that. I thought we were going to do this, and I like this, and I want to keep doing this. And if you want to move forward in life differently, I don't want to do that. I'll go find someone else because this is the relationship dynamic that I like. And some people are doing that right now in their life. Trying to find, again, the masculine cards can just represent how people present themselves in the world. So there's people presenting themselves in the world as very like, you should hire me, you should go into business with me, you should work for me, you should date me, you should be my friend, you should marry me. And they come across like people that are very stable, balanced, mature, abundant in a lot of ways, maybe attractive, maybe charming, and that's kind of what we're looking for in the world, right? And so then people get in relationship with them, they just don't realize that what these people are hiding emotionally is that they do kind of operate more from their egoic view of life. That is, it is more about the world, the ego, the image, or them. And maybe kind of use their emotions, shadowy energy, the opposite of high vibe Leo, represented by the sun, is being authentic and being authentically who you really are. And in high vibe, being loving and encouraging and supportive and not more invested and manipulated by your egoic nature. And that's what some people are hiding. They've already turned their back on some other people who did heal and grow and mature themselves, that probably offered them truth and love to move forward with them. And they said, nope, that's not what I view as love. Doesn't motivate and inspire me because it means I have to grow up and mature myself. Or I'd have to be more willing to invest in working together with people more cooperatively. And, love is supposed to be just and fair, but some people like it a little bit more about them. Either, again, being codependent and being indulged, or being the more bossy or controlling person in a way in a relationship, and having people more codependent on them. But of course, they don't want the next people or job or friendship that they get into, they don't want those people to know, probably, because shadowy energy is trying to manipulate people and confuse them about the truth. And shadowy energy can be, I don't want to stay in denial of the truth. So if some people are kind of immature, no, I'm not. If some people are more bossy and controlling, no, I'm not. If they're kind of full of themselves, no, I'm not. If they're more codependent on the world, their ego, their self defensive nature, their friend or family group that they're not really willing to be independent and live their more authentic life from, no, I'm not. And you can't make people see the truth. We can all look back at our own life when we were more immature and living our life whatever way. We probably had some more mature people in our life that were like, why are you doing that? And this, why don't you kind of more love and believe in yourself? And I'm afraid this kind of going to drive your life off into the ditch. And, we all got to learn lessons the hard way, right? And sometimes we can get in relationships with people, and sometimes we don't know, because high vibe people can be motivated and inspired by love. They can be someone who is willing to learn lessons in life, is motivated and inspired to grow and mature themselves, and quit letting their fear, their ego, or the world or other people in their life manipulate them. But we can get in relationships with people and we don't know that, because the top row can kind of represent how people are presenting themselves in the world, and they present themselves as being inspired by the same things you are in their Taurus energy. Oh, yeah, I like doing that. Oh, yeah, I think that too. Yep. Yeah, yeah, I don't agree with that either. Yep, no, I think this is just and fair. And, you know, some other people that are doing some other things, maybe, or whatever, or I just, basically trying to make it seem like they're on the same page as you. But while you could have done some of this work within yourself to really be ready to have a new beginning and be more independent and be more authentic, getting out of your more defensive nature or self-indulgent nature, or be more about yourself nature or codependent nature, they don't really know that about you, and they could think you think like they think, and you don't really know that they could harness these energies in a more shadowy way. And it can take time to get to know people, right? And then as we go along, at some point in the relationship, if not right away, I kind of started a new job in like the last year. And yeah, with some people, you're trying to work with them. And right away, with some people, it's like, oh my God, you're difficult to work with, and someone who, like, just defensive. And, it's like, you're not, you're just, it's, just some people are very insecure and maybe lack having invested in themselves to feel more confident within themselves, to believe they can do things where, people who always try to get out of doing things, like, just drives you nuts because everything's like defensive and argumentative, and you just feel like going finding somebody else to do it or doing it yourself. But it's supposed to be their job, but, it's just difficult, right? And you just The more experience you have at it, the more you just accept the truth. I accept the truth that I'm dealing with someone who's kind of immature and kind of defensive, and I'm gonna, the less I have to invest time, energy, and effort into that person, the better. And I'm going to treat them in a way that is reflective of my truth. I'm, high vibe energy is trying to be a good leader and a good example in the world. I'm not going to try to lose my cool, even though it's really frustrating because you're dealing with an adult, but they act like an immature child in a way. And it's like, yes, you remind me of my own child when they were growing up, when they were like 12 and you're 45 years old or something. Anyway, it's like I'm not going to get up in my head about it. I just accept the truth. I see the truth. I have to work with the truth of the situation the way it is. If it is a workplace or a family member or someone in your community or organization that you might belong to, you know, you're going to choose to invest your time in people who do work more cooperatively and not invest more of your time in the people who are kind of more immature or shadowy or whatever. And the people who will maybe invest more in them are probably other people who think that way because what's that phrase? Birds of a feather flock together. And high vibe people move on. But it does take, for some people, it can take, some people wear a very good false mask and you don't find out till much later in the relationship that what kind of more drives and motivates them, why they're in it, that they are more immature, that they are more about themselves, they are more codependent, they are more stubborn. And that was kind of an emotional aspect of them that you weren't seeing. And sometimes we don't want to see the truth because we want these things to work out the way we want them to work out. But, as some people keep putting in work and effort to move things forward, and the other people, that doesn't seem to be what they're doing, it's kind of like we can't stay in denial of the truth anymore. And that we're ready to move on. And if they want to move forward, working together with us more cooperatively, and the same way employers can do that with employees at work. And I think the shadowy people, for some reason, just keep thinking because they're so used to people indulging them and indulging in it for as long as those people indulge them. The only thing is that what they don't get is one day it's kind of like judgment day is going to come. And if there's an opportunity or there's something, things change, people have to make decisions, they're going to be the people that like people are going to say goodbye to. And they're going to keep moving. And then the shadowy people might be surprised. Well, I never thought they would do that. It's like because you didn't want to see the truth that you're kind of acting like a pill. And people really don't care to work with you in whatever capacity of relationship it might be. Anyway, let's go look at the top row. So, also another thing is shadowy people, because they're operating more from their worldly egoic nature, which can be very much and in that Taurus energy also, about how people view them. That can be really important. It's really important because that's kind of what they have to offer people because they're not really maybe inspired to emotionally grow and mature themselves or temper their ego. So, what they have to offer people are more of these things of the world. I have money, status, image, power. I'm attractive. I'll have sex with you. I'll indulge you for a while, you know? But what they have more to offer and what they try to tempt people with, because shadowy energy, the big picture, represented by the devil tries to make us think this will make you happy. This has all these things of the world that you wanted. You wanted stability and security and to have a job and be in a friendship and be in a romantic relationship. I will offer you that opportunity. You just need to be more motivated to be in the relationship with me more for these reasons of the world, because that's what I'm offering you. And I might not offer you love, and I might not be just and fair, and I might not, and I vibe Taurus, act with character and integrity. And eventually you might see that I am kind of more emotionally immature or whatever, you know. I mean, might have grown up some, but then, they can let their, again, it's like to use all these things that they have, these gifts that they've been given, they use them all manipulatively. And, it's like trying to scam the justice system. And kind of when other people are in relationships with them, they have the free will or work for a bad boss to either do that and then stay in it for these reasons of the world, or I can't do this anymore. And emotionally, I'm going to kind of face my fears, grow up and mature myself to high vibe Leo, love and believe in myself, and give myself the things that I wish other people would have given me. So, some people are moving forward in life differently, and other people don't know how they're doing it. And they could look very independent, very stable, because high vibe energy is about kind of like knowing your worth and value, being balanced within yourself, um, being inspired by truth and love and justice and fairness. And other people could just think that you're putting on a better show than them, shadowy Leo, because that's what they do, because they don't really grow and heal and mature themselves. And they don't get it because they don't understand it, because they never invest in that. And so they don't understand how you're doing it. What they don't realize is that you did this work within you. And that's like, we start out here with the B card, and then we have the tree card, which is, they're both Virgo energy, which is kind of doing this inner work within yourself to love yourself, your own inner child nature, being a good, standing up for yourself is what the masculine energies can be. We all have our more emotional nature, but do we take action in our more physical 3D nature of self to stand up for ourselves and invest in ourself? Aries energy is about the self. Invest in ourself, to work on ourselves, to love and believe in ourselves, to emotionally grow and mature ourselves, defend ourselves. High vibe Taurus kind of stand up for our truth. And that's what you did. And some other people didn't. They kept thinking, no, no, that's not the answer. That's not the truth. I don't have to do that. I think I need to indulge myself, or I need to go get in a different relationship, or I need to put more work and effort to have more status, image, money, or work on my body, or whatever, or what I wear, or what I drive. It's more important. Either I do those things and I think that is the answer to getting me what I want, making me feel better. But love, truth and love and healing and working through our past pain and heartbreak and our fear and our insecurities and being more independent of things that manipulate us is what makes us actually happy. But some people think, no, that's not it. No, I got to keep doing this. And I have these certain things I do, and I have these certain people and the world and my ego and my image. I'm sure that is the most important thing. And they just haven't seen through the illusion yet, and they may never see through it. So they don't get how some people seem to be so inspired within themselves, because again, they could be very codependent. Maybe to get in a relationship is what makes them feel more stable and balanced. We can all like community, friendship, and relationship, but some people aren't just willing to get in a relationship just for the purpose of, you're like a pawn in my game of life. I have these things I don't want to see the truth of and I don't want to deal with. And I want these things of the world like other people have and want, but I don't want to emotionally invest in growing and maturing myself. and I want to keep repeating this old pattern, and other people get in relationship with them, and until they meet someone who's kind of more on the same page as them, they'll repeat this pattern of getting in relationships with people. And if they get in relationships with more hopeful, believing people, eventually those people are going to move on. And we all have valuable lessons to learn from people like this, to see the truth that there are people like that in the world. If you're someone who's much more hopeful and believing, you can think everybody has hope and faith and belief and love. People would choose love, wouldn't they? And some people have decided, no, I'm not doing love. Over here, well, except for the child card, but we don't even know if that's love. You know, they're really, until we get over here where people connect maybe in more with their emotional nature, they might be kind of more emotionally immature. And they're okay with that. Well, so what they don't know about some high vibe people that'll move forward as you're moving forward in that energy and other people are moving forward in that way, there could be people in your friend group, your community, your workplace that are on that same page as you. Some people could know people, some people could be attracted to people, but some of the people in our life, we're all on the same page. Other people in our life don't really know us well enough, you and different people in your life, to know what your truth is. But what you have done is you've detached from harnessing these energies in a more shadowy way. And that's what set you free. When we free ourselves, it's just like we had certain traits and characteristics and ways of viewing the world when we were 15 years old. Well, if we wanted to go become more like an 18-year-old, we had to detach from some of those more 15-year-old ways of being, for example. Well, that's what you did. You were inspired to look to the future, wanting to be someone who kind of stood up for yourself, believed in yourself, to kind of get clear about the truth of the foundation that you operate from, no longer staying in denial of the truth that not everybody has good intentions in the world, and some people are more bossy and controlling and more about themselves and the ego and the image and indulging in relationships and don't even want to do more authentic, deep, meaningful relationships. And you accepted the truth of it. You get to go to the next phase of life. And when you detach from those certain ways of being that were part of the reason why you would have kept staying in a more repeating an old pattern, you detach from people in your life that, still align with that way of living life because you don't view life that way anymore. You can imagine we've all had people in our life at these different phases of our life that we could have all been gun ho at a certain phase of life to live our life a certain way. And 10 years have gone by, and there's some people that are still living their life like that, right? And that's fine. You can enjoy people's company. You can know them. You can wish them the best. They can wish you the best. We accept that everybody has free will to live their life the way they want it. It's just more challenging if it's someone kind of like in our family that we'd like to get along with them better, but it is a little bit more like oil and water. And, shadowy energy can be where people are trying to dominate or control people, or, shadowy energy can be like jealous and envious and stuff like that, or petty and immature. And that's more challenging because we'd really like to get along better with those people, or just people who we were long-term friends or in a long-term relationship. We really wanted it to move forward, but again, we could have gotten to a point in a relationship where we really, the next thing to work through was the tree really can talk about some core foundational truths within ourselves. How are you willing to be more authentic? Are you willing to be more just and fair? Are you more inspired by love or not? And those are some core foundational truths that we kind of dictates our life and the decisions that we make. And when you kind of got to that core foundational aspect in a relationship, that's where it's like, nope, we're going in different directions now. Okay. And some people are more focused and concentrated on maybe their family or children or their career. Other people aren't in that phase of life, are past that phase of life, and they're kind of ready to move forward differently. Sometimes we've been in certain relationship dynamics, and again, people want us to keep playing that role in their life, or people want, it kind of reminds me of like a parent and child dynamic. Sometimes it's the parents or the friends or the family members that want people to stay in a certain position. Don't you move forward in life differently? I don't care that you're an adult. I don't care that you're 60 years old. I want you to do life like this and let me have power and control over you. And sometimes it's the children doing that to the parent. No, we should keep repeating this pattern. You shouldn't go live your own life. You were my mom or my dad at one time. And even though I'm 30, I want you to keep like playing that role and keep indulging me like I'm a 12-year-old. And it's like, so it can go both ways. What are the cards not showing themselves? We have the Garden card, the Sith card, the Seduction card, the Expectation, the Mountain, and the High Honor. So, both these cards say Libra on them, which is represented by the scales of justice of what we think is just and fair and kind of what our truth is. And, again, at any point in time in life, we looked at life and whatever way we were living it, we thought it was just and fair. And other people living their life, doing the things they're doing, and we got people in the world doing atrocious things. They think it's just and fair, they justify it, right? So, just on the grand scale and at the small scale, we all kind of have our truth. And some people are a little more shadowy, a little more bossy, immature, controlling, think it should be more about them, like to try to manipulate and control people to get them to do what they want. And it's difficult because we could, again, have known those people a long time, have them in our family, have them in our workplace. And, the people, it's just, if people before, you can, it's like what, leading a horse to water but you can't make them drink. It's like having people like that who want you to keep, it's like holding out their cup of love saying, fill up my cup of love, fill up my cup of love, and then they poke holes in the bottom or they dump it out, and when you turn around to maybe invest in yourself or anything you enjoy, then it's like, no, fill up my cup of love, fill up my cup of love, fill, it has to be just more about them in some shape or form. And it's like, I can offer people truth and love and encouragement, and I'm going to do that because that is the type of person, that is the answer. But people have to make the free will choice to accept that truth and love and encouragement and appreciate it, and then make the free will choice to want to invest in that truth within themselves to emotionally grow and mature themselves and temper their more immature egoic nature. And when you see people don't do that, you see that they're imbalanced. And the Sith card also reminds me of the Death card of Scorpio, which could be, you see, shadowy Scorpio again can be more superficial, shallow people. And it's dead energy, like nothing new. You've already been there, done that, dealt with people who are like that. They don't give birth to anything new because in order to do something new authentically, you kind of have to shed an old version of yourself. And you have to see the truth as to why. Why is that? Again, like if I have these ways of interacting and behaving that are kind of more like a 15-year-old, but I'm working with people who are more on the emotional maturity level of any other age, older and above that, regardless of what age I am, there's going to be people who aren't going to appreciate it. But for some reason, they keep thinking people should indulge them in that way. And eventually Scorpio energy can talk about, they're not people you kind of want to do emotionally invest in or go back and forth with. And eventually you just kind of emotionally aren't interested in being in a friendship or relationship with them because you don't think it's just and fair. But at one time you could have been someone, you know, sometimes that's what shadowy people are counting on. Oh, you're someone who's loving and encouraging and supportive. You like to play that role, and then it confuses you. That's what Scorpio energy can be. It confuses you, and other people don't work together with you in that way. And because it like confuses you, because you don't just want to see the truth that they're immature, bossy, controlling, unjust, unfair, you keep putting in a lot of work to try to get them to work together with you cooperatively. And sometimes we can take it personally. Like, well, I'm acting this way, and I'm doing this and I'm doing that. Why aren't they working? And it's like a math puzzle that doesn't work out. But you have to realize they're like doing a math puzzle with alphabet characters, and you're doing it with numbers. How is the math? Well, we do know there's alphabet characters in math puzzles, like X equals Y or something. But I mean, it's like looking at the world from different perspectives and motivations that are contradictory to each other. And I think that's what shadowy people do, because that's what high vibe people do. High vibe people are motivated and inspired to work together with people cooperatively to bring justice to the situation. And as people do this over and over and over in their life, eventually they get to where it's like, I've dealt with enough people like that when I now offer people truth and love and work together with them cooperatively, and they're not willing to do that. I just accept the truth that we have different ways of viewing life, of what we think is just and fair. And I accept that we do look at life from these kind of contradictory ways of looking at life. And I've already dealt with people who are like that. And, we could maybe look at this card as kind of listening to your intuition, because the feminine figures can talk about connecting in with our emotions and our intuition. That we've been here before, we have done this, let's not invest in repeating that old pattern. And that's when it's just like, this person has already shown me that there's someone I don't want to emotionally invest in. And in the seduction card, I'm kind of not going to get caught up in it. And if it was someone I met who is like, oh my gosh, they seem, if it's romantic, kind of like, gee, this looks like someone, blah, blah, blah. But then you get to know them and it's like, yep, nope. Been there, done that. I know how this story ends. So, and there's some people in your life that you have, you know, again, it's built into the system. I think the way the world works, that when we're planting certain seeds in life, we're going to reap a certain harvest. Can loving people invest in shadowy people and they have a shadowy outcome? Yeah, probably because we weren't willing to see the truth, weren't ready to stand up for ourselves. We're a more codependent energy, had this way of looking at relationships where it was kind of indulging people in poor behavior instead of maintaining balance within ourselves to require it to be more just and fair. And we had to go on that journey of learning those lessons. But there's some people in your life that you you have no interest in being in any more of involved relationship than you might have to be. They might not know it, because again, some of those people think they're God's gift and everybody should probably want to be in a relationship with them because Of course, they have these certain things or status or image, and it's like, yeah, and they don't get it. Then, so maybe before you were imbalanced, the Scorpio card upside down can mean that you weren't emotionally balanced. Again, you could have been more codependent. You could have been more fired up by these things of the world. The seduction card, uh, maybe lack some, had these lessons learned. The seduction card makes me kind of think of Queen of Wands and Sagittarius energy. We have some lessons to learn, and we didn't even know we had lessons to learn. And we thought if we did this and this and this, and we did all these things that the world told us would make us happy, and then it didn't, we're not as caught up in the illusion of the world anymore. And then we have Capricorn and Leo energy, that we get more inspired, where before we maybe weren't inspired, to see the truth that we needed to free ourselves from our more worldly egoic nature, because Capricorn in shadow is represented by the devil, and then the Leo card. It takes a lot of work and effort. Capricorn is earth sign energy. It takes a lot of work and effort to free ourselves from things that can manipulate us, and these things that we in the world that we want, that can kind of throw us out of balance because we really want those things a lot, that or those relationships or those friendships. you know, with us having free will, there's always a sacrifice. One thing has to be given up when you have to make these decisions in your life. And we could have been more willing to give up, and maybe we didn't have the aspiration for some other things, to be more bold and brave and confident, to feel more stable and grounded within ourselves, because we were looking to other people to get in relationship with us to help us with that. And some of those friendships and relationships did help us with that. But ultimately, we get to the point of realizing high vibe Virgo, the answer, and high vibe Leo and Aries is the answer lies within me. I hold the key to freeing myself emotionally. Other people can help. Other people on my journey can help me. I Everybody that we've come in contact with, and everybody who's come in contact with us, to a degree, we changed each other. And if we accept the gift that it helped us get more clear about our truth and get out of our ego about the things that didn't work out the way we wanted, our dream couldn't come into reality with those people anyway, with them being in that energy. And we can sit all day waiting for them to change and the rest of our life, or accept the truth of what is, and go invest our time, energy, and effort into loving and believing in ourselves, investing in the people in our world and in our life who are working together with us in a more just and fair way. Go enjoy our life, and it might be a period of time that is an opportunity for you to invest in yourself, to love and believe in yourself, to give yourself the things that you wish other people would have given you. So that then I kind of view Aries energy, the house card reminds me of the Four of Wands, of firing on all four cylinders. Because in the energy of Leo, you have learned to love yourself. You are like a good mother, father, coach voice to yourself from love, instead of maybe looking to other people to play that role in your life to love you. And so kind of Leo, it's like this being reminds me of the Six of Wands and Leo energy, us loving our own worldly nature, and telling ourselves to go out in the world and be your authentic self, live your truth, stand up for your truth, like you say to yourself. Do not give up your truth. If people are more interested in a more shadowy relationship, let them go pick on someone else. You know, I've been there and I have the t-shirt. I want to be available to be in friendships and relationships with people and invest my time, energy, and effort into people who want to come together with me in joy and celebration. And I'm going to work with those people or enjoy the people in the world who are like that, whether it's the people at the grocery store or the gas station or the coffee shop. And I'm going to go enjoy the world. It's kind of like in I kind of view high vibe fire sign energy is all these things in the world that try to motivate and inspire us. And that can be movies, music, books, artwork, nature, all the things that we can go do that help us, and high vibe energy is maintaining balance within yourself, that the world is meant to go be enjoyed, but it's to be enjoyed in moderation, where it's not giving too much power and influence to certain things like they're the answer. You know, go out to eat and go out and have a drink if you want, if you drink, but it's not to make those things the answer to your problems, that you stay focused on being inspired by truth and love and listening to your intuition to guide you, where before that's kind of us being in our more egoic nature. We've all been given the gift of our intuition, but in our ego nature we think we're so smart, and pride comes before the fall, that we can get ourselves in things, and our intuition is kind of like telling us, you shouldn't do this, this isn't a good idea, you should go home, but we went and did it anyway. Well, I think our intuition was given to us as a gift to help us navigate in this world, because people can wear false masks and people can present themselves in ways that aren't authentic. And it was a gift given to us. And I tell you, I am starting to listen to my intuition more and more when I kind of have, like, if I'm at work and like something will kind of pop in my mind, which could be something from the day before or a week before. And it's like, what? Like, why did that pop in my head? It's like, now it's like, okay. So then I go look at what it is or go pull it out to see, um, what it was that's kind of causing a question in my mind. And almost every time it's like I see that there was an error or something. I'm an accountant. And so it's like it's just amazing. Or I had something too with people signing documents and stuff through DocuSign. Um, I get them all the time. And someone who has to be the one to forward them to everybody. And I got one in from somebody for somebody traveling, and paying the bill for them to go travel. But that was the first time I'd really noticed on the form that they also wanted someone, not just the employee and their supervisor, but someone higher up. Normally, nobody cares and nobody signs them. But that one, it caught my eye, and it's just like, well, it's probably a reason why it caught your eye. So I went and asked somebody if they typically like to sign those, and so that someone in the accounting department, um, that kind of has that responsibility for whatever. And they said yes. And that particular one, it was going to cost like $15,000 per person to go to something. And then that person actually wanted the CEO to sign off on it if they were going to do that. And they were just like, oh my gosh, when they're going to do big things like that, they have got to let us know, and we need to do a purchase order. And, just brought up all these things. And it's like, well, thank you, God. It's like, I'm just not ignoring my intuition now. And something kind of it's like a little angel, like tap, 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 tapping on your shoulder. I think you should look at that a little bit more. Or I think there's something funny about that. Or, now I definitely listen to it. And it is kind of feeling like you got a little angel on your shoulder helping you out throughout your day. What's coming up for some people who harness some high vibe Leo energy that they might not see coming? The Ace of Pentacles, which is new beginnings. Why? Because of the Three of Pentacles and the Six of Swords, which means you put in the work and effort in your Capricorn energy to free yourself from things that were kind of shadowy. Why? And you put in work and effort to see the truth. The Six of Swords moves away from the Five of Swords, which can just be you are working together with people who they have a different dream or their truth is different. Their idea of the dream life, dream relationship, dream friendship, dream workplace is different than your idea. And because you were willing to put in the work and effort to get to the truth, to work through the mental conflict of it and your ego about it, you set yourself free. The Six of Swords talks about moving away from kind of emotionally rough waters to calmer waters. And some of the other people aren't interested in doing that. And, some people like to fight and that makes them feel powerful and controlling or whatever. Or just moved away from a workplace or moved away from a friendship group or a foundation that you had been working with or your own way of viewing yourself and the world or something. And that sets you free to go have this new beginning. You saw the truth, you dealt with the truth, so you get to go to the next level of the video game of life. And while you're moving to the next level, and some other people in your life are moving to the next level, and other people in the world are moving to the next level, some other people are going to keep repeating an old pattern. And there's, in tarot, they kind of talk about it as timelines. There's people that are many levels ahead of you. There can be many people levels below you. Some other people, they have many people at levels above them and levels below them. You know, it's just saying we're all on our own journey of learning lessons, and you learned a significant lesson that could have been very, very hard for you because it really required you to dig deep and stand up for yourself and stand up for your truth. And you're investing in it. And because of that, you learn the lesson. And that also kind of means you won't be repeating this old pattern. It's like I've been there and I've done that. You know, you're not going to invest in certain ways of behaving or living your life or thinking about yourself or others or whatever. And you're not going to engage in certain types of patterns and behaviors and that some other people are still doing. It's like I've already been there and done that. I'm not doing it anymore. It's like giving up some habits and ways of being like a 15-year-old, basically. In similarity, is what I mean. And while you're doing that, some other people are going to keep investing, sure that their way of going about it or repeating, wanting to keep living their life that way. And for some people, again, that's fine. They have the free will to live their life whatever way they want. You just realized that might make you happy. I have realized that is not my truth and that doesn't make me happy. So high vibe people kind of get to a place to offering truth and love to it. If I love people and I had love for them, which can be harder if they acted really awful, but I just offer love to it because it's love that's going to let me emotionally let it go, all of it go. The ego, the being the mad, being in uh, whatever shadowy Leo energy that you could have been in. It's like I've seen the truth. I offered love to it so I could let it go. Their truth is different than my truth. It's really kind of as simple as that. And as you do that, I think there's going to be other people that you're going to meet. Because again, I think when we listen to our intuition, just like I had worked at a job where, oh my gosh, the supervisor just kind of made it terrible and toxic. And I thought about it, and it's like, if somebody's creating a little hell on earth in a world of duality, that means high vibe energy is creating a little heaven on earth. And I can either stay here or I can listen to my intuition and I can start putting in this work and effort to work through my mental conflict of leaving because I'd only been there like 9 months. So that's kind of hard. And sometimes that's what other people are counting on. Well, as long as you'll at least work here like 2 years or 5 years, we can keep manipulating you and whatever, being bossy and controlling and try to wear you down so you stay here all your life. And it's like, I'm going to go look for another job. And I went to go get another job and it was like, oh, like the angels were singing. It's like, oh my gosh, everybody was so friendly and nice. And, uh, it was just like, wow, this is a complete And at the other job, it was really just the supervisor in that area, who was always there. Like one person said, do you ever notice they never do that when the person above them is here in the office and they could hear them act this way and talk this way? It's like, no, I had not noticed that yet because, you get so consumed and caught up in it and like, I cannot believe that you are acting like this. That person was acting like a bratty 15-year-old and bossy and manipulative and blah blah. And then I did notice this. Like you're right. Whenever the other more higher level bosses here, yeah, they don't do that. But when they know they're gone, then they do it. What is coming up for the shadowy people that they don't see coming? The Empress and the Ten of Cups. Well, they harness this energy in a shadowy way, which is Libra and Taurus. Um, and in their Nine of Cups of Pisces energy, they keep thinking the way they want to live their life or the way they do live their life is going to make them happy. It's just that kind of their idea of what is just and fair in relationships, it's either more about the ego and the image, and that's what's most important. So then they don't understand why other people don't want to get in a relationship and stay in a relationship with them. But it is more about the ego and the image. And then it's like people just kind of indulging themselves in the relationship, maybe sexually, but it's not really love. But for them, they could equate sex with love. And again, they could be in shadowy Scorpio, a little emotionally shallow and superficial and immature. And that is the stage of life that they're at. And they maybe don't want to even do deep, meaningful relationships. Or it can be like they're happy, they're being indulged, and they don't understand why other people, like, why aren't you happy being in a relationship with me? You're being loving and encouraging and supportive. I like that. I'm happy. But yet, they're maybe not that way with other people, but yet they could view themselves, well, I'm your friend or I'm in a relationship with you. What more do you want? That could really be some people really full of themselves, like you get to be in a relationship with me. Duh. But so while they keep doing that, they're always going to have some more high vibe people in their life. And what they don't see coming is those people have done some of this work within themselves to probably think of why they keep indulging some of these people and kind of seeing that what they want to bring into reality, the dream that they have in their Capricorn and Aquarius energy and Aries energy of themselves, that it's not going to come into reality because the other people are wanting to do this and they're wanting to do that. And eventually, some of those people, it's kind of like, again, Judgment Day. Do you want to move forward with me in this way and work together with me? But if you do, you have to invest in truth and love and working together cooperatively. Be just, be fair, be authentic, be loving, act with character and integrity, and really walk the talk. That's high vibe Taurus. And some people are like, no, I don't have to do that. I look like that type of person and I act like that type of person. That's not really the truth of who I am, but other people don't know that. And I'll go find someone else who doesn't know the truth, maybe about people like me, or just don't know me very well. And I'll go create this illusion with them, and they'll repeat the whole pattern again. And until they meet someone, and ultimately, they will probably end up in a relationship with someone who's happy to be in a relationship with them being that way because they're that way, or they like being in that kind of relationship dynamic. You know, if some people are kind of more immature, there's other people who like to be a more dominating, controlling person in people's life. Other people have no interest. I don't want to be in a relationship with someone I've got to lord over or dominate and control to keep a handle on them like a parent would a child. No, thank you. But there's other people, that's their thing. Well, yay, you are a match for each other. And so long as it has the status or the image or whatever, they'll probably stay in it. And they could even be happy in it. Well, everybody's looking for people that are the right counterpart. High vibe people want to work with people who are more inspired to grow and heal and mature themselves, to work together with people cooperatively, to be loving and encouraging of each other, to believe in your dreams. And some people are happy kind of repeating a pattern, and some people's pattern is I am a very like to be in relationships with people who like need my help and I need to help them run their life. They just don't realize that if they were in relationships with people who kind of loved and encouraged them, what they could give birth to, but they're spending their time trying to maybe change or control other people, and it just keeps them stuck in a pattern. But for some people, it's like if it's got all those things that I want, I'll play that role in their life. But they emotionally might be doing it more for the things of the world than truth and love. But if that's what makes them happy, that makes them happy. For other people, it didn't make them happy. And they're going to go invest in people who they think are more inspired by truth and love, who don't want to be in a relationship to be in a relationship or stay in a relationship more because of the status or the ego and the image. If it's not based on truth and love, shadowy Ten of Cups and Pisces energy can be, it's just the illusion of love. If it's not inspired by love and being authentic and loving and encouraging, and where I can be authentically myself, you be authentically yourself, motivated and inspired to work together from love, then I won't be in relationships with people who want me to give birth to an illusion and stay in an illusion about how wonderful my life is, when it stays shadowy energy can be that it stays dead and stagnant, and you're not growing and maturing, other people aren't growing and maturing, they don't want you to grow and mature, and you're not ready to give up on your dreams yet. There's more to your vision of what you had for your life. And for some people, they didn't have any further vision. I want to get married. Well, what else do you want? Nothing. I just want to be married, or I just want to be in a relationship, or I just want to have a job. It's like, well, why do you want a job? Just have a job. But it's not to feel proud of themselves, feel accomplished, possibly more. It's like, well, that would take work and effort. Then I wouldn't be able to do these things. They'd expect more of me. I don't want people to expect more of me. Okay. Then I guess you can just keep doing this. So there you go, Leo. I wish you peace, love, and joy, and we will see you next time. Bye bye.